What's up guys? So welcome to another video. I know it's been a while, it's been at least a few months since I've made my last video. I know I need to get a haircut right now. I've been pretty busy with my work. Also there was a holiday season. In the financial markets, usually the banks and the financial institutions before the year closes, they all close down to make their yearly reports, and since there is not enough volume at the end of the year, it's become a very risky to trade. So for the December, I've basically halted all of my trading operations, and I've waited it out for the first half of the January to keep my capital as safe as possible. Overall, in this video, we're going to talk about the overall ecosystem of trading via Telegram signals. I'm going to talk about how much money I've made overall from that whole operation, which lasted, I think, at least 3 or 4 months. I think I've started in the August 20th or something. And I'm also going to talk about why I've stopped my whole Telegram operations. And these are the very important things, so you guys need to understand that. So anyway, let's get to it. So if you will go to my playlists, you will find at least playlists right now at this point, which basically covers two types of Telegram trading. One of which was the Antonio Angotti, which was basically the selected Telegram groups which are apparently profitable, which he trades, and another set of Telegram channels are those which are very bad performance by him, so he reverses those. Another thing that I've tested was basically just one single Telegram group called Elevating Forex. Now all the things that I'm gonna talk about right now, you can assume that all of the Telegram channels suffer from the very same things, and if you come into those Telegram channels with these assumptions that I'm gonna cover right now in this video, you should be safe. And given that, it means that you should stay away from them as best as you can. I'm gonna explain all of the fundamental flaws of these Telegram channels in this video. I really hope all of your experience aligns with everything that I'm telling you right now here. So even though I've managed myself to make some money, it doesn't really mean that you will. First of all, let me mention that when you trade, you need to assume your risk management. The risk management is what keeps your capital safe, so never go all in, of course. Okay, now let me show you one picture from Telegram. I'm not gonna go through the whole history of the Telegram trading because there's too many, of course, things to show, but I want to cover one report which I saw on the November 30th. I think this report basically reflects everything that's been wrong with the Telegram trading. So if you will notice, we are again at the Elevating Forex Gold channel. So this is one of their VIP groups. It costs around 500 bucks to get into. As you can see, we have around 180 subscribers right now in this channel. What we're looking at right now is this one. So this is 4-month performance summary of trading gold by the gold channel. So, as you can see, total trades that were taken was 166, losing trades were 32, and overall winning trades was 134, with overall win ratio of 81%. Now this 4-month summary report was posted on November 30th, and at first glance 81% looks significant. It's almost as if get rich quick, but there are things in this report that many people fail to see. I'm gonna go through all of them with you guys right here. So this is the chart of the gold. As you can see, we are on the 4-hour chart. So at this point, it doesn't really matter what price the gold is selling at right now. What we are looking at right here is this overall blue box. As you can see, I've added 121 days. So the end is the start of the December 1st, so almost end of the November, which was the November 30th. And the start of this blue box is basically August 1st. So this blue box covers those 4 months overall, which that report claims to be covering. So first of all, do notice that for the better half of this period, the gold was rising. That means when you open your buy position, you can basically just wait it out for the most part, and it will at least, or it should for the most part, work out as long as you wait it out. But then we basically had a black swan event at the end of the October, where the price dropped from 4,000 almost 400 right down to the 3,900 almost. So this dip was basically what, almost about 10 or 9%. So that drop of price was quite significant, as you can see. So the problem with this whole area of 4 months that 4-month report is covering, if you will notice, again, for the majority of the time the gold was basically rising. So it was quite easy to trade. You just buy and you just wait it out. Yes, there was some swings right here, it's always has been, but overall the fundamental price movement was upward. Then we had that black swan event where the gold was basically dipping, retesting the 3,900 area, and right now of course it's been testing the new highs. So the problem is that overall Telegram environment is best working when there is a significant and clear trend movement. In this case there was a bullish trend, and as long as you just keep buying, for the most part those trades work out for you. But when the conditions normalize, like for instance in this area, this is where I have experienced significant amounts of losses. So keep in mind, if you are willing to trade Telegram signals, keep in mind that you have to seek for the clear trend movements. If there isn't any clear movement either upward or downward, you should stay away from Telegram. Okay, so now that we have talked about the conditions of the Telegram channel's strategies, which is not necessarily a fundamental flaw because each strategy requires certain conditions. So for Telegram, the conditions that are best suited for that environment is basically the clear trend of bullish or bearish. Now if you look of course at the gold chart from like the very beginning, you will notice that the gold was always rising in price historically, but that is over the course of the years of data. And yes, if you will look at that way, you will see that the gold always has been bearish, but the Telegram signal entries are extremely tight compared to the overall big picture of the overall gold's trend, so it doesn't really matter. Now speaking about tight entries, let's talk about the take profit levels against the stop loss and overall risk and reward ratio, and let's look at the matrix. So I was googling and basically was looking for a good risk to reward matrix, but there isn't a good enough picture to show you guys what I mean. So I basically went to Google Gemini and asked it to draw the risk to reward ratio matrix, which starts from risk to reward ratio 0.2 all the way to 2. So as long as we are in this green area right here, we are profitable, and as long as we are in this orange area right here, we are in the negative. In this yellowish greenish line right here, it's our break-even line. It has this a little bit of curve to it. Same thing we can see in the other visual representations of risk to reward against the win ratio matrices right here in the Google. So right after this 4-month performance summary report, which was again posted on November 30th, next day on the December 1st, we had another trade right here drop in the gold channel. So I've used the snipping tool of Windows to capture this trade, and in Google Gemini right after this matrix I've basically dropped this captured screenshot and asked it to calculate all take profit levels against the stop loss. So this is the answer what I've gotten. So Take profit 1 level is basically risk to reward ratio of 0.4. Take profit 2 is at 0.8, and take profit 3, which by the way rarely happens, quite almost never in fact, the risk to reward ratio is 1.8. I'm gonna show you on paper how the trading on Telegram works. I'm really sorry I can't do better visual representation. So basically what usually happens, say we are looking for a buy signal or a buy trade. So we are basically entering right here at 0. Now if the price goes up and reaches take profit 1 level, right here at this point you will get a message to move stop loss to break even line. This means that this stop loss becomes right here in this space, which would be a kind of a fair risk management on the surface level. The only problem right now is that if we are looking at the risk to reward ratio of 0.4, we need to basically do correctly at least 3 trades, which will land us at 1.2 to cover one stop loss hit if that should be the case. So for instance, if we for some reason to manage to enter and get ourselves a stop loss, we need 3 trades at least to cover this stop loss, and that does not include the spreads or commissions to your broker. So this is where the problem lies. Whether you move this stop loss to break even or not, when you reach take profit 1 level, the Telegram basically counts this whole trade as complete. So basically at take profit 1 level, it just counts as the good trade. And that is basically it. Once this good trade is counted as closed, it doesn't really matter what happens. It may reach take profit 2 level, or it may even reach take profit 1 level. It may reverse on us to hit the stop loss at break even. If we hadn't moved the stop loss to break even, we might hit a stop loss as well. And the problem with moving the stop loss to break even when the price reaches take profit 1 level and say you are hunting take profit 2 levels, usually, in fact, more than you would like, what happens is basically we reach take profit 1 level, we move stop loss to break even, we experience reversal, and then we reach take profit 2 level as we would like. The problem is if we move the stop loss to break even right here, this reversal will take us out, and the original trade might have reached the take profit 2 level, but right here at break even we basically got stopped out. And yes, technically we didn't lose money because we have landed on 0, but it's basically a wasted energy. And this wasted energy comes up with decreasing and eroding through spreads. So basically, even though you reach the 0, in reality you experience some negatives and the negatives until your whole capital erodes. So break even is not really optimal right here. And to hope that you will reach take profit 2 levels is kind of insane in my opinion. It doesn't really work out like that. This will be another point of the risk I will talk about next. I hope you have followed through this sketch that I've just did. The overall point that I was trying to make, that the entries in the Telegram space are very tight. And for you to move the stop loss to break even when the take profit 1 is hit, you would have to have a bit more space for the market to breathe and work itself out a bit to go either one or other direction. And yet with the tight entries of the take profit 1's 0.4 risk to reward ratio, we have a extremely tight space, and moving stop loss to break even doesn't really work. And trading at take profit 2 or 3 levels is even worse, and I will show you right now why. So let's talk about the entries that they are making with their trades. So let's analyze the trade that was taken yesterday. We are on Saturday right now, 24th of January, and we are talking at the trade that was taken on Friday, 23rd of January. So right here, 23rd of January, we have basically trade at 12.06. We have basically a sell entry. So given this trade was taken at 12.06, I've basically mapped it at 12.05 because we are at 5-minute chart, so 1 minute doesn't really change a thing. And as you can see, with this trade we've got stop loss. So the take profit that I've added is basically take profit 1. But what we are looking at right now is the market momentum. So if you have the possibility to map these trades, you can do it with stochastic RSI or MACD or any other indicator which shows the market momentum. So at 5-minute chart, when we have entered this trade, I'm gonna put a vertical line right here. When we entered this trade, it would have seemed that the market momentum is just rising. So it makes sense that we should be expecting a reversal from the momentum, and they basically taken the sell trade and they got stopped out. The problem is if we look at the big picture, so for instance if we open the 15-minute chart and if we look at the exact same trade from the 15-minute chart, as you can see, the market momentum was just basically just about to break the zero line and just about to be rising big time. So we have basically entered against the whole market. So that's what I call the entries at the momentum decay times. And if we copy and paste this, and if we reverse this trade, additional thing that usually happens is, say for instance, I've seen countless times happening like this. So the market is basically rising, the momentum is going up, and then we basically enter, say, buy right here, somewhere here, but there is not enough volume at that point of time to go further up, and the market is about to drop and the momentum is about to reverse on us, and yet we have entered the buy trade. So in those cases we are just basically entering at the times where the market momentum is about to reverse on us, and often we are basically getting stopped out. But this is just a simulation, it's not a real trade. I've just shown you what happens so you wouldn't lose money on these kinds of trades. So again, if we are looking at the trade that happened yesterday, as you can see, the market momentum was just about to be rising and the price was just about to be bullish, and yet on 5-minute chart they have decided to go with the sell trade, and therefore they basically got stopped out. So the point that I was trying to make with this section is just to show you that they're entering their trades at the very worst times overall. I'm not sure exactly what kinds of strategies they are using or what exact indicators they are using. I can tell you this: the elevating forex, which we are analyzing right now, I've once entered their live trading session and I've asked what kind of indicators they are using, or are they using any specific strategies. The answer was basically they are not using any specific indicators. What they are looking at is basically the main support and resistance zones, or supply and demand zones, which at that time to me it seemed fair. I've seen this way of trading countless times on YouTube when I was learning to trade myself. But again, the point is that they're entering at the very worst times, and you should not blindly follow all of the Telegram signals if you have to. Okay, so let's get back to this 4-month performance summary. As I've mentioned before, once the take profit 1 level is reached, they will count that trade as a winning trade. The only problem is that whether you move stop loss to break even or not, once the take profit 1 is hit, they will close the entry, and there is no way to know whether after break even is hit or whether you're not doing stop loss to break even. Once the take profit 1 is hit, there's no way to know whether the trade continued on to the take profit 2 or 3 or reversed on us to the stop loss. Because as I've showed you and as I've said before, take profit 1 is basically the level where the trade is registered as a successful. We are basically having at take profit 1 the risk to reward ratio at 0.4, and that's before the commissions or spreads on your broker. And if the take profit 1 is basically the successful trade, at those levels they are producing the win rate at 81%. And if we go back to the matrix, we will see that at take profit 1 level, which has risk to reward ratio at 0.4, to stay profitable, we would need at the very least to have 80% of win rate. They're claiming to be having 80%. So basically, even at take profit 1 level at 0.4, they're barely making money. That's complete minimum. Anything less than that, you will find yourself either at 0 or the very negative. So as you can see, the coordinates of this matrix shows us that they are barely making sense at 0.12 expectancy per unit risk. So they're barely making money, they're barely in the green zone. And on top of that, if we are looking at the November and we are working out 4 months back by looking at the chart as I've showed you before, this 4-month period starts at the August all the way to the beginning of the December, so somewhere around right here. So this space of time conveniently includes the gold rush of August through the late October. So even with the clear market trend being bullish, they are barely making money. So if we would browse through this channel's history, we would find ourselves that they are using the Telegram signal copier, which is the automated software for you to keep your hands free and let it execute trades for you. So I'm not gonna switch here between the screens. I've documented this software. I personally rented it. Well, I've bought subscription and I've used it before, so you can check my other videos. I've talked about it right there in a bit. So basically, this software just forwards signals from the Telegram directly to your MetaTrader. All of this happening in a 100 milliseconds time frame, so it's basically instant. I myself have seen this very issue happen at least 3 times. What happens? They drop a signal, and since I have unsubscribed for at least a month and a half, I don't have a proof, so you have to trust me on this. I personally seen that happening 3 times. So what happens is basically they're sending out a signal. The software executes the signal through MetaTrader in 100 millisecond time frame. And yet, once they see that basically the trade is going against them, within at least 5 or 10 or maybe 15 seconds, they will edit a signal, and instead of say original sell, they will edit it to the buy. So if you were to do all of these signals manually, you might see the updated version of the Telegram signal and you might enter it correctly. However, if you are using 100 millisecond execution software which happens automated. Once the original signal is being sent out, you will be executing that, and after say 10 seconds they will edit it from sell to buy, but you are already in a sell within 100 milliseconds and you will get stopped out. However, they will claim that the trade was successful. So that is basically a bit shady practice. As I've said, that I personally seen that happening 3 times, and we already established that you have to execute 3 successful trades at take profit 1 to cover 1 single stop loss, and I've seen signals being edited 3 times reversing on me. So at the very minimum I would have to deduct at least 6 successful trades from their 4-month summary, which definitely puts us in the red area. So this 4-month summary is complete false and a lie. They are completely not making money. Even at the best case scenario, they're barely making sense. And let me tell you, the best case scenario that they are showing us in the Telegram report that I've just showed you right here is completely false. And even there, they are barely making sense. So right here, say for instance at the December 10th, we have a buy now signal dropped at basically 11 a.m. And as you can see, it has been edited. So they are claiming that they are running at some profit, some 18 pips minimum. Also, they want to move stop loss to break even, as we have covered before. But again, this signal has been edited. So even though it says buy, it may have been original sell with the edit happening within seconds, but the software would have picked it up and we would already be in the sell position, or the original entry or stop loss or any of the take profit levels may have been incorrectly typed, and the software would have also picked it up, and basically the trade would have been a train wreck. And the problem is there is no way to know what kind of signal the original was. So if you were to backtest any of the Telegram signal channel, the best bet you can do is to avoid the backtester. You would have to do everything manually and avoid the edited signals. And so we are arriving at few last points which I've desperately tried to do everything about it to keep my capital preserved and possible to make money, even though it was just going against me and against me and against me overall. So basically I've tried different settings. So for instance, I've tried when take profit 1 is being hit, I've tried to moving stop loss to break even while hunting take profit 2. Then I've hunted take profit 2 without stop loss moving to break even at take profit 1 level. I've tried reversing everything, but the problem with reversals is basically it's just each given second of these Telegram channels, it basically revolves around 0, and yet in the bigger picture it has a direction either in the positive or in the negative, but there you go, there is no way to tell because some of the signals is being edited. The whole trades any given time is revolving around 0, and there is just no setup for you to win right here in these environments. And I've tried doing this both with this elevating forex and then the copy trader from the guy called Antonio Ngotti. You can check out my playlist. It just doesn't really work. The Telegram doesn't really work. And on top of that, the only true way for you to backtest these Telegram channels, so it's just you can use the TS Copier's backtester, because as I've mentioned in my previous videos, it is kind of a benchmark software in this whole industry, but and the software itself has lots of settings for whatever conditions you may find in each Telegram channel. However, I'm not sure I can fully trust the backtester because, again, the signals is being edited and the entries are tight. Some of the entries are too wide, and when you're entering at the market the momentum decay moments and it reverses on you, it's just pure chaotic energy entropy, if you will, and it's just no way for you to make money. So the point is, you really have to be careful if you're willing to trade any Telegram signals. You have to do your due diligence, you have to do your research. I've saw some possible good trading Telegram channels in the Reddit. You can also perhaps check out the Copy Trader again, which I've talked about in one of my previous playlists. Some of his videos actually distills his whole service to very few Telegram channels that are possibly working out for him. But overall, my recommendation for you would be to stay away from them. So one last thing I would like to show you. So for instance, if we are looking at the very same old gold channel, so take profit 1 right here counts as 300 points of profit, or pips if you will. Now if we go to the very same owner's premium group, which is different than the gold channel, as you can see, he has 400 points at take profit 2 level and 200 points at take profit 1 level. Overall structure of take profit 1 to 3 levels against stop loss is basically just the same, with the same risk to reward ratio. Unless perhaps one thing you might want to consider trying, which again I emphasize I'm not really recommending necessarily, but you may try that, is just to go to the same guy. For instance, the Elevating Forex, which I've covered on and on in this channel. You just basically go to his free group and you just enjoy his free trades, where take profit 1 is 200 and take profit 2 is somewhere 500 or 400 points of pips, if you will. The entries right here in the free channel are even tighter, so you can hit take profit 1 levels more often, and in theory you might be able to make money, as I've showed you in my previous videos while doing the back tests via Excel sheet. But keep that in mind that at that time when I did those, I've also calculated each trade, which basically was edited included. So if you were to have your pure statistical edge, my recommendation for you would be to exclude edited trades from any backtest that you do manually through your perhaps Excel sheet, and not use any type of backtesting software on this, because you will be more confused rather than find your answers. So overall, I've stopped trading Telegram somewhere around I think early December, right before Christmas, and I've started with 1200 at August 20th. So basically traded Telegram for at least 3 months or so, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe somewhere around 4 months. And from the August 20th started with 1200 bucks. At the early of December, when I've stopped my trading activities via Telegram, I basically had 3,599 euros and 73 cents. So if I were to calculate my profits, so 3,600 minus 1,200, which was the original initial capital, over the course of 4 months or so, I've managed to make almost 2,400 bucks via Telegram. Anyway guys, this video is getting pretty long. I really wanted to cover everything that comes with the Telegram trading. It's basically extremely risky environments. I cannot emphasize enough that you should not try this, but of course no one's gonna stop you. I've managed myself to make money because I just kind of doing risk management correctly by myself. I'm not following blindly whatever they do. And there was this gold rush period which I've kind of managed to capitalize on, but overall I would recommend you to stay away. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative enough for you to make some decisions. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe. I really hope I will see you in the next one. Bye.